You ask the questions. Now it's time to receive the bacon! Bacon equals answer. I received fewer questions this time than I did last year. I attribute this to two reasons. One, I nested this opportunity within a channel update video, and no one has the time to watch those, except for the people who did, but for the most part my viewers are like, you're not doing anything. Why do I need to watch an update video about you not doing anything? I don't care. Woohoo! Two, after 2.5 years of question and answer opportunities, folks don't actually have that many questions for me anymore. We're good now. We're straight. Good job, everyone. I'm fine with either reason. I'm also fine with and amused by the people who posted questions after reading the video description without actually watching the relevant section of the video. Trust me, I noticed. 2 minutes after video goes public. Question and backup. Oh, LG. Good job, you. Yeah. You can tell. I can tell. Maybe not you, but I can. I understand these things. I actually pay attention. My goodness. Because I care. I actually pay better attention to, like, the comments I receive than if, when people send me personal messages. Tangential note already! I forget about them. But I also tend to ignore things like, people ask me, like, stupid questions that they should be Googling, and I could tell them the answer much quicker than I would, because I see the question and I might forget about it, or I might not know the answer, and either way that doesn't really help you. But if you Google it, unless it's like a convoluted question, like, how do you force this ancient game into like a windowed mode so that I can play it while also being able to view the cutscenes in a flawless format? See? Now, folks might be like, I do it out of laziness. It's just, you gotta learn how to research and use the tools at your disposal. The idea, the concept of laziness is to save time, right? And if you want to save time, then you should actually take the steps required to save time instead of sending me a PM. Just throwing that out there. Okay. It's unfortunate that the two people were blocked for failing to follow the rules, and obviously, you did it wrong, and you saved me the trouble of frying up 2 more slices of bacon. Or for me ever having to answer or entertain anything from you ever again. Congratulations. Future Grimith may include a list of questions in the video description, along with timestamps. He may also add pictures to what would otherwise be an audio recording. I'm doing it different this time. Last time, I, of course, recorded my browser while I was answering the questions, and I flitted about and did different things, and the thumbnail for that ended up being Jeff's Twitter page, I think. We'll see. All that being said, I've got a lot of frying to do today, so let's get started. Question 1. Alright, we're 3 minutes into this. Good job, May. 3:30, we'll say. Kisame, 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 Kaisame, Chisame. 890 asks, who is your favorite leader from history and why? Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, however it's pronounced. I don't know how the name ended up how it did, how it was like anglicized into Genghis Khan, but it was. And it's been accepted. Except by Mongolians. So let's move on. I first learned of GK when I was 6 years old. Back in the day, my mom would take my brother and I to a game rental store every Friday as a reward for good behavior. In one such instance, I rented a game named Genghis Khan 2 Clan of the Grey Wolf for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I had difficulty understanding the nuances of the game at such an early age, but I found myself interested in learning more about the man. So much so that I checked out a somewhat biographical book from my elementary school library. It was the best book I ever borrowed until high school, and I, being an imaginative kid, found it deeply captivating. In short, GK attributed to my passion for history, a passion which has subsided somewhat, yet remains alive to this day. For that, he is my favorite historical leader. I think that's a interesting answer. But I guess I am biased, because obviously I think I'm an interesting man. The world's most interesting, in fact. Tangentially, video games are partly responsible for igniting my interest in the past. When I played Pirates Gold, I borrowed books on Sir Francis Drake, to quote SKS here in his colonization videos, Drake, and Henry Morgan. When I played Age of Empires, I borrowed books on Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar, Nobunaga's Ambition, Oda Nobunaga, L'Empereur, I roll my R's. I took German, Spanish, and French as foreign languages in high school, and I also, spent time in Puerto Rico and Spanish-speaking friends and what have you, and it's just a constant for me now that I end up rolling my R's, and L'Empereur, I'm not even pronouncing that one right, The Emperor, as a Koei game released for the Nintendo Entertainment System, covering, that time period, French Revolution and Napoleon Bonaparte. All the pronunciations get jumbled up in my head. In tangent, Napoleon Bonaparte. Well, I guess I'm still on a tangent. Never mind. A tangent to the tangent. We're off to a great start this morning. And the first civilization, that was a whole treasure trove. My life experiences prove that video games can hold more than entertainment value. Now that I ended that tangent, let's actually get on to another tangent. Happy Turkey Day, everyone. Gobble, gobble. I'm not dressed up as a turkey. I'm not actually going to be eating any turkey. I think I'm going to make potato soup later tonight, and that's it. I think I'm going to... I think my family has agreed that we're going to save the extensive cooking for Saturday. We got like a holiday weekend thing coming up. There's going to be something else I said, too. I'll think of it. I'm going to be spending a lot of time with you guys. Alright, I'm already getting on to the weird swallowing sounds that I make. This is great. Question 2. Kim Parkkinen? Parkkinen asks, is there any chance to get you playing tabletop games to your channel? Like, just upload one Twitch session from your point of view, or host your own session and DM it or something. I think there's an audience for that kind of stuff. 5-5 would listen watch. I won't say it's impossible, but I think it's improbable. Griffin God, an internet friend of mine, already broadcasts our Dungeons & Dragons and Dark Heresy sessions live, so I feel no compunction to record them. Many of them are available on his Twitch account, and I've been needling him to transfer them to his YouTube channel so I can make a playlist. And apparently, since he has not done so, I need to needle him more. Were I to participate in any other tabletop role-playing games, I would consider recording them, but only if I were a player. As a dungeon master / game master, I'd have too many things going on my screen, and I might end up reviewing notes that I wouldn't want other people to see. Besides, if you can see my screen, then I can't sustain the illusion of whether I cheat, and that would ruin my fun. Question number 3. Check time. Alright. Dumgold asks, why did you start playing role-playing games? Creativity, imagination, and an interest in being someone other than myself. I role-played as a solo activity, lulling myself to sleep by telling stories with stuffed animals. And I got dragged into role-playing as a group activity with Barbie and Ken dolls. Thank you, babysitter. Story making is fun, so I choose to do it, which is why I often end up in the DM/GM role instead of being a player. Although it's worth noting that whenever you're the player in a tabletop role-playing game like that, you're the one who's in charge of your character development, and you're actually able to, focus in depth on the specifics of that character and stay with that character throughout an entire campaign or multiple campaigns. As the overseer of an entire campaign, you're the one who sets the stage for the players to tell the story. But you're not the one who's really telling the story, it's the players themselves who are creating it, and you're just helping them along with the process. Folks think, man, being a DM is so damn hard. What do I do? I can't understand anything. you're not the one who's writing the story. You don't have to go, like, in-depth detail and cover every single, instance of, how things are going to respond if players do such and such. The players are the ones writing the story. And it's up to you to roll with the punches. I suppose not everyone can actually roll with the punches. Well, there you go. Don't make it harder than what it is. Okay. Question number 4. That's it here. Dolwyn87 asks, what has been your best low expectation / highest enjoyment game that you can recall? Let's see. As I make weird swallowing sounds, we're off to a great start here. I was thinking of multiplayer games here. I have learned not to expect much from them, because I've learned not to expect much from random internet people. Kind of like all of you. Okay, here we go. I was introduced to Halo 3 in college, not having played any of the prior Halo games, not thinking of it as a game that would interest me, and I found it to be ridiculously fun. Without owning a 360, I logged a few hundred hours into Halo 3, beating it both solo and co-op on legendary difficulty, and getting a kick out of shooting my college floor mates in the face. Like, oh, there's Grimith. Grimith just, sits at his computer, he lives a sedentary lifestyle. He talks big and he's profane, but he's just a jolly old chap, and, he's not really lethal at this. Oh my goodness, where'd he come from? I just be leaping in the air, scoped in on my rifle, executing headshots, come flying out of nowhere with those sticky grenades, and, the super cool, what is it called, like an energy hammer, sledgehammer type thing, crap like that. I still remember Slayer. Rather fun, I am quick of mind, and my reflexes, they're not that bad. If actually given like a controller to put in my hand, I still remember many of the experiences I had in my youth. So there is that. While I love strategy games, I also love team games where I can play a supporting role. It's about being a part of something bigger than yourself and helping others achieve a collective goal. That really is big for me, and it's kind of amusing. I hate playing games with random people, internet people, or just like pick up games in general, because people are too peculiar, and whenever you're exposing yourself in games like that, there's the potential of your playing experience to be ruined, and then you feel like you wasted your time, which is upsetting. And why, in many multiplayer games or games that are heavily designed to be multiplayer, I'll strike out on my own because I've reduced the amount of variables that can be introduced to screw up my time. I'm pretty big on not wasting my time. But following along the same vein, I had no idea Artemis Spaceship Bridge Simulator would be so fun during the GitWave 24-hour gaming marathon for Extra Life 2012. I had bought it and played it a teensy bit back in 2010, and I figured we could get a few chuckles from it, but that ended up becoming the highlight of the event. Of course, later on, Dave collapsed due to some peculiar Saskatchewan energy drink. Snapwave was feeling terrible the entire time due to being horrendously sick. Quill stayed with us for a little bit during the Artemis thing, but he actually ended up being so persuaded because of how much fun was being had that he came back and joined us. And me, I woke up like 7, 8, 9 hours prior to the frickin' live stream 24-hour marathon. That's a great start right there. The quality of people played a factor, though, as it does in all multiplayer games. We all collaborated together quite well, all well-spoken, able to understand each other through Skype, and we all were united together to achieve that team goal. Not everyone is, and that's why I tend to stay away from multiplayer games. I'm a team player, do supporting roles. It's always not. Going into another example, like Tribes, the Tribes games, Tribes and Tribes 2, I played a lot back in the day as well, and my role was like that of an engineer, and I really enjoyed like the mods that built off of the original game that added like additional defensive structures that you could build. I would do cheap crap like I would layer the the power generators at the base and like little tiny makeshift walls that were practically impossible to penetrate, and people would break in and it's like, I can't kill your generator. And I'm like, well, you gave me like 10 minutes, bro, to seal this thing off. And yeah, I'd fly across the map and set up like a makeshift inventory purchasing thing and like a teleport pad that actually took you behind the enemy base, but I set it off the map, it was off map so you couldn't see it legitimately. Stuff like that, Not like the main guy who charges in, because I didn't have the best reflexes in regards to aiming and everything, although I could do pretty good. Although the jetpack stuff, making it like a truly 3D environment just messed with me way too much. Staying grounded works better for me. The support stuff I like to do, contributing in that way, stuff like in another games, being the engineer, being someone who sets up infrastructure, facilitates the success of the team, or like if we go to like a tabletop role-playing game, like a wizard or another character who exerts battlefield control over a map rather than being the direct damage dealer, because you have other party members who will deal the damage and who will take the brunt and force of blows. Your job is to ensure that they can do their jobs. If you do their jobs, they have no jobs. It's not like they can do your job. Those guys suck. They can't play God. They don't know how to control a battlefield. Only you can control the battlefield. Like me, because I'm intelligent and sharp enough to do that. I think that's the best I got, Dolan. Moving right along here. Question 5. Robert Drever, Drever, asks, was wondering in Gal Civ 2, did you play any races other than human or your custom race? Not on camera, but just for fun. And if so, which one did you like? I did play other races. My favorite? Total no-brainer. Your Collective. I like to fantasize about wrapping my metallic hands around a Taurian's neck. I mean, okay, I know they were totally enslaved once upon a time by the Drengen Empire, and they are still a little bit upset about that. But they are completely and totally rude and absolutely incapable of understanding why I would pick random planetary options which preserve or even increase my planet quality. And this was especially big in the first Galactic Civilizations, although you could only play as the Human Empire in the original Galactic Civilizations. But by that I mean, in Gal Civ 2, something I noticed which I don't like is, once you decide upon a morality, you won't get those random events that pop up anymore. Whereas the random events and the original Galactic Civilizations could continue to pop up. It is what it is. Since Galactic Civilizations 1, speaking of that though, I've seen more runaway Taurian empires than any other, and their obnoxious attitude has imprinted itself upon my psyche. Sort of like how I feel about elves. And sure, I could play as the Drengen, but they're stupid and inefficient. You're not so much. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. I had to, I sensed a sneeze coming along. And it popped my back, too. Very nice of it. I also adjusted my microphone a bit, so it was more like eye level. What? You don't care. Let's get on with it. I try, guys. I try. Question 6. Video then asks, did you go to college or university? What did you study? The terms college and university are, for the most part, interchangeable in the United States. University carries a more prestigious connotation, but almost everyone I know here would ask whether you went to college, not whether you went to university. It's the shortness of the word, fewer syllables. As for actually answering your queries, I went to a research university and I studied history. And living with other people. question 7. I do think it'll be fine. I would like 2 hours. At least my microphone's not muted, I can tell, due to my lines on Audacity. But it's like 2 hours in the future I finish recording this, and apparently my microphone audio quality's so bad because I adjusted the microphone a bit up so it was so far away from my breathing noises that I was making, and everyone's like, I can't understand you when you're reading my question, bro. Why you do this? And I'm like, lol. Right. Question 7. The Dwarf Dragon asks, how did the Voltron army start? The VA community came about primarily because Jeff, 1F Jeff Major, recognized YouTube's limitations and wanted to create a place where people, not just his viewers, could get together and have fun. By YouTube's limitations, I mean, you can't really hold a conversation here. You can create chains of comments, and you can listen to videos in which I speak at my monitor, at the random items contained within my room, but it's not an easily accessible forum for sharing thoughts and ideas, between people. That's what Jeff wanted, and other people wanted that too. So it happened. Ta-da! 2.5 years ago. The Voltron army became live on, March 31st, 2010? And, I think. It was, of course, the forum shell existed in private before that, but that was when it was made public. And there's a whole big unveiling, and lots of people tackled it. I can remember a bunch of names like Jim and Squee and Norse Ghost and, names like that, and people posted a bunch of things, and then shortly thereafter, Minecraft became a huge hit, had Basher and Sci-Fi, his girlfriend / significant other / wife, I don't know, I didn't really talk that much to them, but they came and, yeah, he had his Basher versus Minecraft server up that people were able to join and use, and that was back whenever he recorded videos, I think, first-person scary games, maybe Dead Space, and I think he was also doing a series on Arena. But then there was a whole spurt of drama, and then he left, and he created his own separate community, which they devote themselves into making, Minecraft machinima-like things, I think? I don't really know. I'm not that much interested in Minecraft, so I don't go looking for these things. But I think that's what happens. And stuff. And so we ended up, Hexcrack set up so that the Voltron army has its own Minecraft server that people use, and the forums were pretty active through 2010 and into 2011. Of course, Minecraft was there to help sustain, but also people could use that as a gathering point for all sorts of things. We had some browser game, Supremacy, War of 1914, or some, oh my good, War of 1904. I don't remember. Skulls hosted that, suggested the idea. I participated in the first game. It was entertaining. For a bit. It wasn't bad. It kind of devolved there at the end, which was interesting. And some other stuff that occurred. People used it at all sorts of launching points. I talked about my Liberal Crime Squad tabletop role-playing game rule set that I made back whenever I was crafting that before things kind of fell apart, particularly with my Zeus laptop, whenever that went down. And up until the early part of 2012, everything was pretty active there. But once that viral corruption of code hit, and the actual forum was down for a few months, once it came back up, it's so different since the web host was changed. Hexcrack is no longer hosting the web page, and we're using it's not the old forum look anymore. It's a new one. It's sleek and stuff, and I always love this argument whenever it pops up. It's just not the same. But yeah, it's a lot more desolate than it used to be. And, the forums just weren't accessible at all for a few months. And just, community kind of went... And the TeamSpeak server is still pretty active. It's still very useful. I definitely log on there and talk to people and communicate with folks. And I can't really speak for the Minecraft server, but I know people play Minecraft on that too. The actual forums themselves, not so much. there's like a joke resource. And there's like a retard's rickshaw that Jeff made to single out folks who are making dumb posts. It just, oh well. It still exists as a resource, and people still do use it. Just not as active as it used to be. So go there and be active. And distance yourself from the spam bots. If enough activity actually hits the forum, I'll make a concerted effort to stop those, like whenever I made the Q&A captcha back in the day, which people got confused about, like, what two-word acronym, stands for Let's Play, or something. That was my Q&A captcha, or what two words, fill out the acronym for LP. It was one of the two, and, people were, like, posting on Jeff's YouTube comments, like, I can't register to the forum because I don't know this answer. Like, you watch people who do this hobby and you can't figure it out? What's wrong with you? And the big thing, too, is that whenever that viral corruption of code hit, folks who tried to access the page were getting, like, virus alerts and crap, and they're like, I don't want to do that anymore, and stuff's been cleared up. Although, I still get those pop up every time I try to access my super cool Voltron Army email, which is weird, but, yeah. Google being Google. Righto! I think I covered the answer to that question. Let's move on. Oh, God. 26 minutes in, and I'm only at question 7. Alexander Frost asks, what was your first D&D character? A human fighter with a +1 longsword who somehow befriended animals that fell in the traps for him, and associated with a rogue who had a robe that turned him invisible. There was also a man named Octavius who used an arquebus, a specialized one, and he owned his own medieval casino, which was interesting. Last I remember, I was venturing with that douchebag rogue, Octavius, or maybe his name was Octavian, and some feminine magic caster type. And we were on a boat, and we were going off on some great quest together. That's it. That was back in the mid-90s. Oof, that was taxing to remember. Okay. Question 8. Diadokian. I've tried to pronounce that one before. As a matter of fact, he's probably told me how to. And I'm like, Durr! Diadokian. Whatever. He knows. He asks, why do you go on living? So much for personal questions, huh? Obviously, I hate myself, and it would be too merciful to not have to drag myself through some shallow mimicry of life. There you go. Question 9. The Death Cat, he's also known as Lethal Feline, new moderator of the Voltron Army forum, so he can delete the spam posts and ban people, so I don't have to. He asks, what outdoor activities do you enjoy? I like to swim, preferably at a beach with calm waves. I just like the feel of being at a beach rather than being at a pool. The outdoor pools, they tend to be exposed to, like insects and stuff, and it's like a closed, confined area. And I guess I just like the feel of the salt water as opposed to like the chemically treated water. I like surprises, like, oh, surprise, I stubbed my toe on a seashell, or, oh, hey, there's a school of fish and they jumped out in front of me. Last time we were at the beach, my brother, my brother, he's actually only just 6 years older than me now. We were out, swimming around the beach, and, splashing a bit going on, and I'm like, bro, that's a school of fish that's passing by. He's like, nuh-uh, and then, one actually jumped and hit him in the side, before it swam away, and his eyes widened a little bit, because it scared him and made him jump. This 6'4" guy, just jumping, he looks at me, and he's like, hey, that's a school of fish. I'm like, really? Good job. I like to walk, observing other creatures as they go about their existence, because I'm a creep. that's really it. I mean, I might go outside while I weave a basket or cook, but those activities can just as easily be done indoors. I don't like to hunt or fish. In fact, I dislike people who do either of those activities for sport instead of survival. And there's a lot of people around here who do those activities. I'm not as vocal about that as my mother is, but she's the one who helped her father catch rabbits so the family wouldn't go hungry. And she's the one who had to cry while skinning the cute little bunnies. She would know. It's like bashing the face with a rock. My grandfather shot him. Oh, it's morbid and funny at the same time. Welcome to grim humor. Continuing that train of thought, yes, I am a carnivore, and I don't need to eat meat in order to survive. Life on a college campus has exposed me to the forbidden knowledge of animal raising for fast food restaurants. Chickens raised in stacks of cages, just barely big enough to contain them. Horrid living conditions designed for the express purpose of feeding people. You know, trying to mechanize it and turn it into, make it like an assembly line or assembly plant or something. You know, like the Ford Model Ts. I get that. And if cows and chickens ever become sentient, I will totally understand if they overthrow their human masters and commit unfathomable acts of horror upon us. Sure, I might wail in horrendous pain the entire time, but I can appreciate why they might act in such a manner. It's sort of like if all those tiny spiders I crush, you might hear me every now and then lash out and then like BRB, because BRB LOL. I say those things in an ironic tone. It's starting to rub off me. I like picked that up over like the past year and a half. I know, I was talking with Inferno Canuck the other day. Tangent! And it's like, dude, I don't know exactly when this started for me, but it's just like, if I can troll someone intelligent who types, you know, in an intelligent manner, exhibiting, you know, mastery over the English language, I need to write like that. I also do it to Griffin, too, just to mess with his head. Griffin God, whatever. It's sort of like if all the tiny spiders I crush got together, combined their arachnid intellect, and found a way to defeat me. Would that suck? Yes. But I could appreciate, from an objective viewpoint, why they'd want to annihilate me. Just like all the spider guts fused together in like one sort of super spider, and it's sentient, and it paints a red hourglass on its abdomen just to mess with it. I have crushed... The spiders that I crush are not like the scary spiders. You know, they're just like... If you don't actually have like serious thickness and substance to you, that's when you're under threat. Like, I don't lash out and crush cockroaches, because they have substance to them. Like, there's a difference between little tiny spider who's as big as my fingernail, or maybe like the tip of my finger, guts that I have to wash out off, and like, I'm like trying to imagine like reaching out and crushing one with a cockroach with my hand, and I'm looking at my hand, just shaking my head, nope, I'm good. No, I could do it. It is physically possible for me to do it, and if there ever come a time where I had to do it in order to ensure my survival, I think I could do it, but it would mess with my head the first few times I did it, until I could get adjusted to the process. I'm not afraid of insects. I wanted to become like an entomologist back when I was a kid, and I studied ants and bees and wasps extensively. I think I mentioned that during my Sim Ant playthrough, my series of that. In between jumping at the spider and surprise red ants and what have you. But yeah, cool story, bro. Let me wrap up these crazy tangents by saying it's not my fault that hamburgers and chicken tenders are so tasty. True story. Question 10. Oh, God. UT asks, when does your revolution start to start your own country? I'll answer this with a quote from Angelica, from the Rugrats. If you have to ask, you'll never know. Question number 11. Because you guys need to know the numbers. This is a big deal. Acleon. Hey, Acleon. How's it going? He asks, how many dice could you fit inside your giant skee ball reward die if it was hollow? 8. Easily. There'd be a little bit of wiggle room with the 8, but due to like the rounded corners and crap of it, there's just not enough room for like a 9th one. So 8th would be what it is, and they'd sit in there pretty damn comfortably. Also, juice time, because you guys need to listen to me make more weird swallowing noises. I'm a professional, so I'm totally not going to cut this out, okay, guys? Because you need to hear every second of this. I guess I'll mute myself. Tasty strawberry fusion juice is tasty. Excuse me. Strawberry banana 100% fruit juice. Well, it's vegetable and fruit. Should have had a V8. More awkward swallowing sounds from Grimith. Yes. Moving on. Question 12. Free One Online asks, Mo Space Games? What? Mo Space Games. Let's extrapolate here. I participate in a quirky hobby where I play games and comment on them at the same time. Some of those have been space games. Ergo, Free One Online may want to know whether I'm going to play more space games in the future. In that case, judging by what the rewarders requests are left, probably, yeah, it might happen. Might happen fairly soon, too. We'll see. Question 13. Bleach Rulzall. Bleach Rulzall. Bleach RULZALL. LOL. Shut up, Grimith. Shut up. He asks, have you put any more thought into the Grimith compilation video you had talked about all so long ago? Definitely. I still have a huge notepad log of timestamps and the various videos all on my computer. But it's a bit past the 2-year anniversary for which I concocted the idea. It'd just be kind of weird. Like, December 1st, I release a video celebrating my 2-year anniversary, including videos only through this past 2 years, and doesn't include all the other footage I've recorded over the latter part, like the late part of this year, like I Have No Mouth and I'm a Scream, and Phantasy Star 4, like, none of those moments would be in there. It's just like, what? Why are we celebrating it 2 years? Like, better late than never? No, it's just too weird. That was my cell phone. What time is it? 4:06 in the morning. Tangent moment. You know what? Because I'm such a professional, why don't we check this? Uh-oh. Can I reach the phone from here without yanking out my headset? I can. One new message from... Oh. What the hell? I'll use a 0.3 minute to look at this. Why not? Oh! Oh, yeah. That was a number that I didn't recognize. It seems that person still knew my number. It's a birthday wish. Someone actually sent me that in a PM on YouTube before I settled down to do this. Yes, if none of you got the note, today is my birthday, same day as Thanksgiving this year. I don't much care for birthday celebrations. They're kind of obnoxious. It's like woo, congratulations, you survived for another year, woo, because I tried so hard, man. What was I gonna do, not survive for another year? It's like taking pride or being proud of something you had no control over. Woo, I'm proud for being a white, mostly Germanic guy who lives in the southern part of the United States. Woo! I'm a South Carolinian. Yeah, I'm awesome. I worked so hard to be one. I mean, I was like born here. And stuff. I fused my individual cells together. As a matter of fact, I reached back into the past and forced my mom and dad to have sex with each other. Yeah. I did a good job. No. That's dumb. Woo! Happy birthday, yeah! Just... whatever. I don't much care for him. It's like an excuse to celebrate. Woo! Let's party! It's not like a holiday. I can take off work and just, like, you know, go to my boss, or, like, go to my professor, like, back when I was in college, like, hey, it's my birthday today, so, this is an excused absence, right? He's like, yeah, totally, man, this is a holiday, so you go, have fun, yeah. Because your professor, your supervisor, is going to sound just like that. To get back to... God damn it, Grimith. You know what? Fuck you all. It's my birthday. I'm recording this video. I can do whatever I want. I can just make dumb jokes the entire time, because I totally do that anyway, because I'm accused of trying too hard to be funny. I thought I was just being me, guys, but I'm trying. And it's like, why do you have to do that obnoxious laughter, Grimith? No one laughs by that, like that. It's physically impossible for someone to laugh like that. Why do you make that stupid laughing noise? Like a fucking hyena, just laugh normally. And I'm like, do you not understand how people work? I guess you've had the pleasure of never being around someone who laughs obnoxiously. I have. Maybe some bad habits from... No, I just let it out, man. I have a hearty laugh. You gotta laugh at things. Otherwise you slit your wrist, cry tears of blood, and die. It's an either or. There's no in between with that. So, to get back to Bleach Rules All's question... yeah. I might put everything together as some sort of Christmas gift to you all if the world hasn't ended by then. Or just wait for my 3-year anniversary and put up another notice asking for people to contribute. And then my father might be put in the hospital again, and then I'll totally forget about it until like May or June, and I'll be like, well, damn, I guess we'll wait until year 4. You guys will ask me questions for that birthday celebration next year. Well, where the hell was the damn compilation video? And I'm like, yeah, it's gone. It doesn't exist. I mean, all I'd have to do is just, like, put the various pieces together. It's not happening, because that'd just be too awkward. Sorry. I'm actually not sorry, because if I was sorry, then I would fix that. Wouldn't I? Yeah. Question 14. And... right, question 14. Just checking the time. Tall Panzer asks, if I was a publisher of high-end over-budget games, what would you like to see me make? What would I like to see you make? Check out to me as a paid consultant. Hook me up, man. Question 15. Well, you're trying too hard to be funny right there, Grimith. That was dumb. You just need to take everything. Fuck you. There we go. Are you happy? Fuck you. It's like I hear... I don't have to deal with you people mocking me. I already mock myself, okay? I've been my own worst critic for years. Shut up! I'm trying too hard. God damn it. Question 15. Snaky Jake 7 asks, what is the current state of the beard? I think James Harden is doing a great job of being the -- 1 option on the Houston Rockets. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are most certainly missing his presence. Now, whether they can actually adjust to their new setup by the time the playoffs kick off, which is, a fair distance away, and actually, make it to the finals again with a chance to win it all without him, James Harden, this year remains to be seen. But definitely Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are just not not on the same page this year. That was a totally, bullshit answer. He's the beard. James Harden's known as the beard. We'll go with that. I like that one. John Hayes 133 asks for question 16. What is your favorite moment of YouTube gaming? How could it not be all of the positive interactivity I have experienced over the past 2.5 years? Aww. It's because of all of you that I continue to do this hobby. Yay! That was sensitive and touching, and I'm trying to gloss over it by being my traditional sarcastic asshole douchebag self. Sentimental and heartwarming. Well, now that we had that moment together. Question 17. WEKS87. Thanks for the well wishes in the PM before I started recording this. I guess, Theo. He asks, any Grimith R plus Jeff collabs coming up in the future? Why you no consistent? You write the name of my YouTube account, but you don't write the name of Jeff's? Rabble, 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 rabble. That's racism. That's nameism. In response to your question, don't hold your breath. I probably not. I haven't even spoken to Jeff since May 19th, 2012. A date I remember because that's the day one of my mom's dogs died. And since I was watching the house, I was the one who swaddled Sassy in blankets and carried her out of the house to be cremated. So yeah, it's been over 6 months. Cool story, right? But, things could still happen. I certainly try not to say that things aren't possible. Especially since, I've done that before. I will never, ever, ever record myself playing I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Hate. Yeah. Just didn't work out. Moving on down the line. Question 18 is from Kitty Zero Tikara, or Tikara, who asks, I know you played Daggerfall a few years ago, so what is your opinion on the rest of the Elder Scrolls series? The best word to describe the Elder Scrolls series, and Bethesda Softworks itself, is me making random swallowing sounds, is ambitious. Ambition is simultaneously the franchise's greatest strength and its most crippling weakness. As someone who owns every single game in the franchise except the portable ones in Skyrim, my opinion is I would dare to venture to say, most certainly an educated one. But what do I mean by ambition? Bethesda Softworks initially thought of Arena as a medieval gladiatorial combat game. I actually shared this view. I obviously saw this query being posted for me to answer for this bacon binge, and Griff, via me constantly badgering him and needling him, decided to venture to play Daggerfall and broadcast it. And I've joined along for about 95% of it, and I co-commentate with him the entire time, and I help him understand things, and I help him make the right decisions, because Daggerfall is one of those types of games. And, the game runs well. I showed him to one of those links that has, third-party patches attached to it, so the game will run smoother, and, tries to fix additional problems with Daggerfall, and introduces, some new quests and stuff. And it's something that I didn't show off in my playthrough. And, so he's doing that, and I'm helping along, and of course the stream chat, who people were watching, able to participate in that as well. They ask questions and stuff, and, I think Griff asked me, something about the rest of the Elder Scrolls series, or someone else did in the chat, and I gave them, an answer, sort of, about the history of Bethesda Softworks. So, yeah, there's that. I just felt like mentioning that, Like mentioning that, yes. Because Griff, it's another thing I'm badgering about too. Like, if you upload your Daggerfall videos from Twitch to YouTube, I can make playlists, and then more people will know about them, so more people can watch them. Because he's having a lot of fun with Dagger. He, for whatever reason, really likes the game. He's a masochist. That is proven. That's why he continues to hang out with me. He enjoys being publicly humiliated and belittled. That's the only possible explanation. There is that. That is a thing. And so, yeah. I keep badgering to do these things. He doesn't do these things. I get upset at him for not doing these things. Because, if he cares about views and positive interactivity, then you think he'd want to get the name out. And what better way for him to get a name out than to use me as a resource, because I'm totally hooked up with tens of thousands of people. Yeah. Don't believe that. So, getting back on topic here, I guess I was on topic. Semi-tangential. Bethesda Softworks initially thought of Arena as a medieval gladiatorial combat game. Then they worked it into an RPG. A RPG, rather. They did this with absolutely zero experience in designing RPG games of their own. I think the story went, they actually mentioned what they were going to do to some other company or some other developers who work for like a well-known role-playing game company, and they were laughed at. But their inexperience, it showed. They missed their release window, and the game was horrendously buggy, scathed in reviews for its lack of value and its intense system demands. Arena was a very demanding game for its time. And it was only after the passage of time did gamers really come to appreciate Arena, and I'll provide a quote here. I actually picked this one up, although for the likes of me, I can't remember where the hell the damn quote came from now. One of the magazines. I jotted this down at the time, because obviously I reviewed all the questions just to make sure I could answer them, that they were appropriate at the time, and I just, pulled this quote up, because I thought it would be good and poignant, like I'm doing a damn history research paper. The game set a new standard for this type of CRPG and demonstrated just how much room was left for innovation. So, Bethesda went along with that, and, Bethesda Softworks thought, hey, that was successful enough of a game, but there were so many flaws, so let's make a bigger, more badass game. Experience point system, which did exist in Arena, they threw it under the bus. Cliched and linear plot, oh, the great battle mage Jagathon has seized control of the Empire, and you have to deal with it, out the window. A 3D engine? Well, they needed that to power a game twice the size of Great Britain. Yes. I mentioned how big the map was in my opening video, like Daggerfall 0 story time with Papa Grimm of the series. And, obviously it gets brought up during the course of gameplay. You can walk real time. Or like real swim to locations of the world. And it will take you forever. It's a really fucking big map. You can still get there, though, despite the fact that it might take you forever. You can still get there. Fast travel. And don't forget, of course, the size of all the dungeons and everything. We're just talking, and that's only a bit of Tamriel. Daggerfall takes place in, it covers, part of High Rock, or maybe all of it, and the upper portion of Hammerfell, where the Bretons and the Redguards live, basically. That's not covering all the other places open to you in Tamriel. Which, even all the other games combined, you still don't cover all of the places open to you in Tamriel. There's still so many. But, anyway, unsurprisingly, the game on release, they actually released it within their release window this time, but in the process, they really skimped out on a lot, and the game was riddled with crippling bugs and required a high-powered computer to run it. I remember the day my brother and I bought Daggerfall shortly after release in '96. It was our first Elder Scrolls game. We didn't know what to expect. The game took over an hour and a half to install on our first computer, running Windows 95, first computer we ever owned, and the maximum installation size over 500 megabytes. Our first hard drive was less than a gig. It was like 0.99 or some crap. It was just there. And, of course you have to count all the system files and stuff too that you had. You couldn't have much of anything else, in terms of a huge game. Daggerfall was the biggest game I knew of at the time. Holy fuck. You combine that with the game crashing every 30 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours, depending on its mood. We didn't have internet access either. You couldn't really get a patch. We didn't get dial-up modem until 98. So, or maybe, I think 98's right. I think 98's right. Maybe 97, but I'd venture 98. It was a 56K. I don't need to make those sounds. Once we were able to play the game, I guess I was simulating the Daggerfall sounds too, because we found ourselves immersed in an unforgivable world full of game crashes, peculiar sound artifacts, and something best described as the void. People will ask questions people have just gotten into Daggerfall while watching Griffin God stream it, and they're like, so I was just walking along and I suddenly fell into a black expanse from which there's no escape. Is this normal? And welcome to Daggerfall. That's the void. You can press Alt F11. It'll take you back to the last solid object you were standing on. But, that happens sometimes. You fall between the cracks in the dungeon module, and, welcome to Daggerfall. The dungeons were a giant middle finger. The main quest was impossible. And yeah. It's worth noting that while my brother and I enjoyed Daggerfall and each spent hundreds of hours playing it, we may have been masochistic. Nowadays, even fully patched, even with third-party patches, Daggerfall is a wee unstable. Afterwards, Bethesda decided, and they got some feedback that, hey, maybe you should try to focus less on quantity and more on quality. So maybe smaller world sizes would kind of be a good idea. Perhaps computers that didn't push the limit, or games that didn't push the limit on computer processing power and what have you. So, maybe less buggy games, possibly, potentially, maybe. That's a good idea. Games that didn't require an internet connection in years of patching in order to seem relevant. So what does Bethesda do afterwards? Well, they begin developing 3 games at once. Yeah, because this was a great idea. This was a cash cow they couldn't afford to lose. And 2 of the 3 games, complete, total, utter fail trains. There was at no point in which these games were on the tracks at all. They got out of the factory and woof, immediately in the damn forest. Battlespire? Oh. What the fuck was the point? And Redguard. Bit better, tried to go in a different direction, but again, it's just they're mediocre games. They don't bring anything new to the table. It's bad. I guess Redguard did. It was a third-person perspective. That was, okay. Again, Bethesda did end up making games which looked good for the time, until you actually started trying to do shit in the worlds. Just poorly functional. The less said, about the better. We'll just move on, but they actually, they came the closest to bankruptcy there at that moment. They're going from their sports games and the Terminator license that they have to, RPGs now, and they're thinking they're doing good, but Battlespire and Redguard were such commercial failures, it's kind of don't really have much in the tank anymore. So they're like, okay, this whole thing's terrible. We need to focus on this final project that we're doing. One that you folks may know, recognize, because it's called Morrowind. And that's where I think most of my viewers, most of you folks out there on the internet, LP subculture in general, have actually been introduced to the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind. And you all can speak for yourselves on the quality of the games. As for me, I mean, I own that. I actually own the expansions to it as well as like Shivering Moons and Tribunal. I have beaten Morrowind. I didn't like go through all the expansion content. I think Morrowind was a good game, being what it was. It's not something that at the time I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed exploring the world and being a part of it for a while. It's just it didn't have the same. What is this other than masochism? Like, it didn't come from an era whenever a game just kicked you in the balls, uppercutted you in the chin, and said, "Bitch, man the fuck up. You're gonna have to save and load all the damn time in order to best me." It's a bunch of difficulty not exactly engineered by the game design as so much as the game mechanics and the failings of the developers, and you're like, "Motherfucker game, I will best you. You will not defeat me." What is that other than masochism to be subjugated to such... Well, I guess, no pain, no gain. People subjugate themselves to such horrendous physical trials in order to accept the gains, courtesy of those physical trials that they push their bodies through. Develop staggering physiques and, pulsing hearts that only beat at their blood pressure reads 23 while they're inert and stable because they're not fucking doing anything to hearts like, "This shit's awesome. I don't fucking have to beat hard at all." But there's nothing inherently wrong with ambition. It's a drive to succeed, to better oneself that can inspire people to do great things. I mean, it's you kind of would like that for your character in Crusader Kings or Crusader Kings 2, for instance. The trait of ambition. It can do great things. Certainly Bethesda would have done more than merely flirt with bankruptcy if the Elder Scrolls franchise wasn't a great thing. And the innovation that they've had throughout continuing the series. I mean, I haven't played Skyrim, but I can certainly speak for all of the, commotion regarding that. Oblivion, got a bad rap, and I didn't much enjoy playing it either, but, the foresight that they had to instill such easy tools into their future games, to make them so easily modifiable, has significantly increased their longevity. And while I don't much care for modifying games, I would rather prefer to play other games instead. If I don't think a base game is worth my time, so many people have had such glorious fun, and people are buying the games and spending hundreds of hours playing them to explore these modifications, and they're having fun with that, which, what a video game that you buy should do. It's supposed to entertain you, and if it educates you along or whatever in the process, that's cool too. Video games are, exist for entertainment value. So, there you go. It's fine. And Bethesda Softworks has had great ambition, suddenly breaking the RPGs with no experience, and they certainly existed if they didn't have enough, if they weren't actually making money, then they wouldn't have existed, because the purpose of business is to make money. Some people forget that sometimes. The purpose of business is to make money. Your viewers and consumers will, whine about that. Why is there no innovation in video games? Why are they all the same thing, just 50 bajillion sequels? The purpose of business is to make money, and if something is making money, then why not keep doing that which is making money? You don't need to adapt or die if the market circumstances don't require you to adapt, right? You could adapt and die. Many folks who push the boundaries don't end up doing that well. You hear about the successes of video game companies, but how many have collapsed under the weight of trying to do something and failing to do it in the process? It's better to have tried and failed than not to have done it at all. Like William Shakespeare's, it's better to have loved and lost and never... You're not the one who's going completely, totally, 100% bankrupt. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. There's a big downside to that venture whenever it falls flat on its ass. The consumers aren't necessarily requiring people to change that much. People bitch about, these sequels and how boring and how dull they are. Well, certainly more sequels wouldn't be made if there wasn't that potential for profit. Sometimes sequels do fall flat on their ass, and that's when the gaming company learns, hey, this was a shitty idea, we suck. Don't do this shit again. Sometimes with disastrous company-ending consequences. But the purpose of business is to make money. Why would you do business otherwise? The purpose of business is to make money. I feel like if I keep saying that, it's just... But yeah, there's nothing wrong with ambition. The flip side, though, ambition can be dangerous. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I shouldn't have said there's nothing wrong with it at all. There's nothing inherently wrong. But it can be dangerous and even deadly, as can be seen the moment anyone tries to play Unpatched Daggerfall. I did it! Me. I have the CD on my rack. I could no, not doing it. That was a fun question 18, everyone. Question 19. Phew. One Liberalis asks, what do you think of Kohan Immortal Sovereigns? Before I started recording this, I had to Google the game to understand your question. And I think that's your answer. Well, if I had to Google it, yeah. More seriously, I know I've heard of the game before, but I'd never played it. It was released in a time when I was lost in StarCraft and role-playing. I never got the chance. It might be a good game. I might never know. It's a mystery. Can you guess who? It's a mystery. Does your game have Kohan in it? Yeah. Question number 20. Ghost King of the World asks, whose political ads have annoyed you the most? Excuse me, and we'll relate this back to the 2012 election crap. I could go to elections past, but whatever. 2012 is the most relevant one, so we'll do that. And the answer is I didn't get many. South Carolina is not a battleground state. You see, in the United States, a country which tries to promote freedom and equality for all, people look at moving to the United States because it's a land of opportunity, as they've seen for all these years and all these wonderful success stories, and you can pioneer out west and grab your stake of land, and it's one giant melting pot, and the American dream fueled by manifest destiny, God's given right to punish the Native American every single goddamn step of the way, and kick those engines off of our gold. Freedom and equality for all don't actually exist. And the institution known as the Electoral College proves it every 4 years. The popular vote doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What the majority of people vote for doing in the United States does not matter. It is irrelevant to the presidential election. There have been presidential candidates who have won the popular vote, as in more people, in a so-called democracy, which isn't a democracy. It's a republic. It's a representation form of government. It's the popular vote. More people voted for them than their opponents. And in these instances, the people who won the popular vote still lost. Let me repeat that in a paraphrase format. Okay, I am running for office. My job in theory is to be the best servant to the people. Of course, the more people who vote for me, that's good, right? But I can still lose an election, even though more votes were tallied for me than for my opponent. What? Just throws it away. Just throws it away. That's something I felt strongly about since high school. It's like, what? fucking kidding me? And I feel the same way about it, too. That's a strong opinion of mine. It's, once upon a time, the Electoral College, that was a valuable and a valid institution for a small, largely uneducated nation. I think Thomas Jefferson was one who said, it's like, the people, they're not well read. They don't actually know how to read. They don't really know what's best for themselves, which is interesting coming from Thomas Jefferson, given how tickled he was by the French Revolution. And how much of a proponent he was of, this whole little democracy venture. Yeah. And there's some merit in that. The people ignorant, easily swayed, tend to, look at ideas that, actually, this sounding like too close to how people are in 2012. But most people these days, they actually do know how to read. It's kind of been changes, and great ventures have been made to educating people. So many people so many kids and students have the opportunity to go to schools. And while the quality of those institutions varies greatly, there's still a school institution in existence. There's still an opportunity there for students and kids to attempt to, better themselves through education. It's still a thing. It's a thing. It happened. Schools. Whether they work or not, well, that kind of varies. So much hubbub being made about that. That's a completely different ballpark. But I wager the Founding Fathers hadn't fathomed the airplanes, telephones, and network campaign ads. Are you serious? It is no wonder voter turnout is so low, even during presidential elections, when people are so disillusioned. Maybe we would see more activity at the polls if, voters in Alaska or Hawaii or South Carolina or, Wyoming mattered as much as the votes in Ohio or Florida. Battleground states. You hear, if you live here in the United States, you heard so much about, battleground states, and the president's got to constantly go through these particular states, and they constantly stop, and they make stump speeches, and, pollsters keep calling homes, and, the demographic of Ohioan middle-aged soccer moms, and what have you. You gotta get those. You gotta get on top of those people, whereas, everyone else is like, those are states that go that way. Electoral college, electoral votes. That's how it works. Some votes are more equal than others. Of course, it's not the presidential election, which matters as much as all of the other elections. The local elections. The elections which impact you the most. That's, people are like, what? You went to vote in 2010? I don't get it. The presidential election isn't until 2012. What you voting for, man? All of the other stuff that gets put up? Propositions? 1/3 of the senators? House of Representatives? Local people? No? Those don't ring a bell? I thought not. Naturally, people care about those even less. Voter turnout is even smaller for those. That's because, they don't exactly have the money to get on the news networks with awesome, cool campaign ads. There's so many of them, it's hard to keep track. To answer the query here, Ghost from Ghost in the World, to actually answer it, there was one man running for Congress who had a television ad talking about how he didn't accept out-of-state money like his opponent did because he doesn't cater to out-of-state interests. He doesn't let out-of-state people dictate the needs of his constituents. Excuse me? I was pretty sure that both parties funded the folks who, I guess, it doesn't have to be given. They don't. The Republican National Committee and the Democratic one, they don't have to give their money away to these candidates, particularly if they want them to lose. If they not toe the party line. But I was pretty sure for the most part, they gave money to these people to win their campaigns. Solidarity and what have you, and I'm pretty sure that counts as out of state.
I guess, I don't know exactly how these campaign machinations machines work. The campaigns could direct money specifically given to those states back to those people. Just saying, just throwing that out there. When it comes to politics, I care, but not so much about individual candidates or issues. Instead, my energies are directed at my government's bloated, corpulent bureaucracy. For example, and I've Gwyn Deske asked about that, and he actually shared it with his students. I think a president should be allowed to serve for as many terms as the people allow him, but none of those terms can be consecutive. You have to pull like a Grover Cleveland and do 2 non-consecutive terms. Why? Because the incumbent invests his energy on the campaign trail instead of doing his job. How many hours and how much taxpayer money was spent by the Obama administration, by the Bush administration before that, by the Clinton administration before that, behind the Bush administration? How many hours, dollars have been spent by a presidential incumbent attempting to defend his seat instead of fucking doing the job the people elected him to do in the first place? How many? Just fucking curious. Come on. And of course, the incumbent's always going to have an advantage to begin with in these elections because he's the incumbent. He's going to be noticeable the most. You want to know why? Because he's the fucking president of the United States. He can stick himself in gloriously for these photo ops, especially if, unfortunately, it's not like the president can engineer a national disaster, but if it happens, it's something that, he's going to be in the public eye, for better or for worse. I don't think that there should be an incumbent there to hit that advantage in what is seen as the most important position in the United States of America government. Obviously there's checks and balances, but the president's still there as the figurehead to catch the pulse of the people and what have you with his promises, which are total nonsense, but whatever. Everyone's like, lower taxes! Hey, he wants to raise taxes for you, can't fucking let that shit. People, we gotta have taxes. That's how we pay for the systems that we get. Road maintenance, education, sanitation. I know the government is bloated. It's bureaucracy, millions of miles of red tape, pork barrel spending or whatever, but we need to have taxes. We actually have to give money to our government so our government can do things for us, so that it is not apparently so far. How do you even as a country get that far in the debt? I can't even remotely fathom that. Like, the entire system of that is so fucking broken. I'm not allowed. I'm in debt. I have college loans that I'm still paying off. I'm not allowed to get that fucking far in the debt. What the fuck? You need to have income coming in somewhere, and you gotta cut something, but it's just... this democratic republic... it's glorious to have people with differing opinions and their rights to express that and everything. It's just that when there's so much noise and it creates such indecisiveness, and that is assuming that everyone in the picture in the government line is actually doing their jobs, which is regrettably not always the case. You try to assume the good in people will always come out, but that's just not true. There's always corruption within all forms of administration, regrettably, whether it's a school district or whether it's a big government type. But that's how I feel about the whole presidential system. If the people really want to elect you again to another term, it'll just be a lot of years in the future. Terms cannot be consecutive. Because I don't want my president to be focusing his mind on that instead of thinking about how to lead this country. how to present a face for all the other nations to see. I want them to worry about problems that are affecting us. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop by right there. Whew. Oh, man. I'm actually going to, in fact, I'll actually stop the Audacity recording, too. And I'll take a few moments to catch my breath when we come back. Next question, question 21.